Welcome to Mining Over Canada. Join the Canadian Securities Exchange and our partners in a first-hand look into our country's vast mining landscape.
Hi, my name's Serin. I'm Director of Listings Development with the Canadian Securities Exchange. I am here today as part of our special presentation of Mining Over Canada, during BC Week with my dear friend, Sean Kingsley. Thank you so much for joining me, Sean.
Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate that you found a quiet place with Wi-Fi to make this happen. These are the challenges that we face today.
Yeah, I'm in like a little coat room, little closet room. You can't see because I put my virtual background, but we got to do what we got to do during this year.
Well, and that's what we're going to touch on today. We're going to talk about how mining companies, junior exploration companies need to manage in these new waters that we're treading. Why don't we start off and talk about yourself and your background? Who is Sean Kingsley?
Yeah, so going on 14 years, focused on the junior mining space. I handle communications, marketing, finance, big advocate, big ambassador of mining, and the saying goes, "What's not grown is mined." So we need everyone to understand that, and that's what I hope to do for the rest of my life.
One of my favorite parts of your history is that when you actually started in the sector, you were a bit of a wallflower, and that was something that you had to tackle as you maneuvered the waters. Tell us about that.
Still am. Yeah, I am an introvert. I'm not shy to say that. I am shy. Introverts are. So in the beginning, it wasn't easy, but as you start to know people, as you start to grow, as you start to learn, as you get more involved in all aspects of the industry, you get a comfort level. You meet genuine great people like yourself. So it just helps me out a lot.
Well, thank you for that. Before we dive into some new practices that these companies need to address as we live in this virtual reality, why don't you tell us, you have a little history as far as your heritage and mining in BC.
Yeah, so I'm half Chinese, half French. My Chinese side came to Vancouver from Hong Kong, probably 1887. And during those times, Canada was building the railroad. And, Chinese did come to Vancouver, to British Columbia, probably in the mid 1700s right after the San Francisco gold rush or the California gold rush. But it was more during the late 1800s, around the 1870s, 1880s, where a lot of Chinese migrants came here to not only build the railroad, but they used to call British Columbia the Golden Mountain or the Gold Mountain, and come seek out riches to bring back to their families. So British Columbia is known for Chinese coming, mining essentially. During the railroad, as they were building the railroad out and the workers would come here, they were stumbling across, riches in the ground. My family came to teach Jesus Christ to the railroad workers. And yeah, I think we're 6 generations now. 5th generation, which is my great grandma. Yeah, she turned 110 this year and she's still kicking.
It's amazing. And it's funny, I did an interview this week actually with my dad. And I think we're actually on par. I think I'm 6th generation. So you and I share that in common. That's amazing. Okay, so a big part of your background has been the IR side of things, promoting companies, raising capital for companies, connecting companies with whether it be service providers, capital, investors, shareholders, stakeholders in general. I don't think that there's anything that you don't do for junior companies. Typically they're junior, typically they're exploration, right?
Yeah, grassroots discovery, it's the most exciting cycle of the mining cycle, going back to the Lassonde curve cycle. Mining and production, it's good for the balance books, but it's not fun. Discovering new stuff and seeing it through and developing and expanding is my forte.
Okay, so obviously the last time that we all got together in a room was PDAC of 2020. We're going into conference season. So in Vancouver, we've always participated in VRIC, which happens in January, and then we move right into Roundup. You and I both sit on the Marketing and Communication Committee for AME, which puts on Roundup. And that's a big part of, their outward communication with people. And then we move into PDAC, and you're very highly involved in Ground Up, which was an initiative developed a few years back that I got to participate in with you. And now it's exploded, and it's part of Vancouver and Toronto. I think your events are typically the most sought after. So what happens now for companies as we go into, we've seen some of these conferences go online, PDAC's going to be going online. What does a company need to do to prepare for this virtual conference world we're about to enter?
Yeah, just touching on it, we are in a new normal. We were fortunate enough to have Roundup and PDAC earlier this year. Going into 2021, we all know it's a different world, and we have to be safe, and we have to be healthy and precautious. And so, it's tough. Like, imagine, like, for instance, the Roundup and VRIC, that's the Roundup has average every year 7,000 people. It's the biggest Western positioned mining conference, other than the Las Vegas one every 4 years. And PDAC is 35,000 on average, not including the people that don't register and that hang around to do business out in the hallways. So it's going to be interesting. We're fortunate enough, we get a little bit more insights as we help, suggest some ideas and help organize and, bring attention to the conferences coming up. So just speaking on Roundup for 2021, I'm actually really excited. We didn't get the virtual tour yet. I believe they're going to be doing some kind of sneak peek, but just envision in yourself at home, in your comfort of your own home, in safety of your family, and you literally get to walk the hallways of Roundup. You literally get to go see the posters. You get to see everything. Like, it's not going to be like just a regular Zoom call one-on-one. It's going to be very immersed. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm kind of being told, and it's going to be amazing. I think actually, now that it's going to be virtual, I think it's going to bring a lot more people in, especially now, like, everyone's home. New people are coming into our industry, starting to invest, starting to understand, none of us, like, it doesn't matter if we're in the business for 10 years or 40 years, we don't know everything. We're always learning too. So don't feel shy that you don't know something. You ask people, but pretty much these conferences are just going to be wide open, and I'm looking forward to it. I think there's going to be a lot of people from other countries. There's going to be a lot of younger people seeing what these things are all about, and then there's going to be companies that are presenting. For instance, Enduro's already signed up for Roundup. We're big supporters of AME, and pretty much we have a lot of ideas, and I guess we're here to share some ideas for issuers on the CSE and other companies participating in these virtual conferences. You got to keep in mind that it's not like your regular conference where you just show up with your 2-pagers, presentations, a box of rocks, and yourself. It's totally going to be totally different. You got to think different, and if you think like that, like the past, you're just no one's going to pay any attention. So we can go through a few ideas. I don't know, what do you say?
Yeah, I would love that. I think I'm optimistic that I think there is a silver lining to this. I know for myself, and I know for you, whenever we pass each other at one of these conferences, we're just to the wall busy, either talking to people, running into people that we know. I mean, the energy is always amazing at these conferences. I find that nowadays I have less and less time to actually get to participate in some of the big speakers that are out there and sit down and absorb it all. I have less time to go to the booths and chat with, the issuers, take a look at, what they're actually doing, talk to them about the programs that they're working on and so on. And so I'm kind of excited because I think there might be an opportunity to actually gain a little bit more personally than I have been able to, in recent years, just because we've been so busy. The flip side is, I think a lot of us have really depended on that opportunity to network and to see our friends. It's a great time to be in a room and find out what people are doing and what country and what commodity is what's really going at that time, what new technology is being developed. So I'm definitely going to miss that part. And I wonder how these online conferences will be able to manage through the networking portion. So I'm hopeful that we'll find a way to do that. But I do believe that there'll be an opportunity to kind of gain more access than I have in the past. If you're an issuer right now going into conference season, any ideas on what people should be planning ahead and having ready, virtually, to be able to engage with stakeholders and potential shareholders?
Yeah, now more than ever, it's all about how do you present yourself. And now that we're all virtual, like we can do these one-on-one discussions, interviews and stuff like that. But after a while, it gets draining. So what can you make that is going to make a first impression, is going to be able to be understood pretty quick, and that you can just these virtual conferences. Just imagine you have a booth and you have all these different areas within the booth where you can create these tools to tell your story, to tell your developments, to share how much gold or silver or copper you have, what jurisdiction you're working in. And I don't know, like we probably have 2 months, so you do have time, and you just got to start now. We don't really get much Christmases for this year, I'm sure, but so you do have some extra time. Think about doing 3D, like just imagine Google Maps, and then out in outer space, zoom down to your property, show all your infrastructure, show all your towns and neighbors and bridges and power, and then look at your project itself, look at the neighbors. There's companies out there that do it for you. There's Moon Patrol, which I like a lot. They're doing amazing stuff, even probably better than they're advancing so quickly now that everyone's going virtually. You should check out Moon Patrol VR for sure. There's VRify, where they have all the different sections of your property, and you can provide collateral like images of your core, images of your rock samples, images of important facets of your project. So those virtual tours, those are key. You can even make one yourself, like if you have some drone footage. Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because I had a chat, which is getting released this week as well, with Kai Hoffman. And he mentioned something similar. He said, you literally can just go onto Google Maps and take a look at a property as a potential shareholder, and even just understand, could a road ever get in there? Could infrastructure be built around there? That type of thing. So I think that there is things that you can do if you don't have tons of time. We also have our colleagues who have participated in this, is Glenn Jones from DigiGeo. They do some amazing work as well. So those are out there. The one thing I would actually suggest to issuers, which is a very simple one, is go onto Amazon. You don't even have to leave your house, and get yourself a good light, a good microphone, and a good camera that you can attach to any computer. And that makes a really big difference. Make sure that you set up your background so that it's not super busy. Make sure that there's good sound quality, that it's not echoing. Maybe not somewhere in the house where dogs are barking. I think my dog's barked already in the middle of this interview. So stuff like that, I would definitely suggest that people go and invest. It's a small amount of money to get a few tools that can help you do this. And would you suggest that people do pre-recorded stuff as far as, dialogue, or are they going to be sitting there and available to chat live during the conference? Will you be able to go up to a booth and chat live with someone?
So there will be live access to each team and each booth. That I know for sure for Roundup. I'm waiting to hear more on PDAC. If you have, for instance, your geologist or your VP of exploration that wants to talk about something specific, which is highly advisable, if they can attend the booth all day long, Usually when we go to the booths, it's the CEO doing one-on-one meetings outside of the conference while the IR communications directors are at the booth sharing the story with investors coming by. And the technical guys are usually floating around, meeting their colleagues and their peers, looking at other projects in the area to get more information. But now that we're all virtual, if the technical people can't be available, or if the CEO, God forbid, can't be available, pre-recording something where they can just click, a few, 2-minute thing, a little blurb where people want to learn, people want to grow, get a better understanding, and they want to hear it from the horse's mouth. So yeah, it's totally, if they're not available to be there the whole day, why not create some video content? Like we can go, you can sign up for Zoom, it's $20 a month. You can go in there yourself, press record, talk to yourself as if, pretty much you're going to be sharing, well, you will be sharing it, and use that video. Like it can be as simple as that, or you can get editors. Like we got a lot of friends in the business that are producers and production managers that can help you put where your logo goes and make it all nice and fancy. And as we're talking, something flashes up and you see a map or a video or something. So there's a lot of things that should be done, that's needed to be done, and you got to keep people's attention for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny. I think we've definitely entered that era. When I started on the mining side, it was around 2012, I'd say, and a lot of mining companies still had that stagnant web page that they had to call a web developer every time they wanted to upload a press release and update their information. And I think that definitely has evolved over the past 10 years, and people are in a better place now. But it's an opportunity to up your game again. I think there's going to be some great opportunity. There's people that might not have been able to come to Vancouver or Toronto that could be sitting in their homes globally. So, and I think it's really important that people continue to support these conferences. These conferences mean a lot to us within the sector. And I think they mean a lot to shareholders to have that opportunity where we can all connect. So, so it's important to continue to support, Roundup, VRIC, PDAC, support those ones and discover new ones. I did an interview with Explore out of Quebec, and it's done every year out of Montreal. And to be honest, I've never gone because I've just never been, out in Montreal during that time of year, but got to participate this year, which was a new conference I got to be a part of. So definitely encourage people to participate, even if you're not holding a booth, go and support the people that are. So Sean, tell me what issuers can do now, other than conferences, to be out there promoting themselves virtually.
I think it was last week, Canaccord's CEO. Canaccord is a brokerage firm here in Vancouver. Well, it was founded here by Peter Brown here in Vancouver. He's a legendary supporter of not only the mining industry, but the capital industry. And Canaccord's CEO was saying that, pre-COVID, they would take their teams of investment bankers along with issuers to selected cities to go, promote and market their story and opportunity to raise capital. And now that we're in this new normal, he's saying his team has never been more productive. Doing Zoom call meetings, having his whole team there with the issuers. Instead of spending a day to 3 days in selected cities, they're literally doing everything in probably half a day. So that's really fast tracked a lot of that. These one-on-one videos is amazing. There's other platforms out there, like for instance, one-to-one mining conferences. They were doing huge, probably the largest in our sector conferences, probably 400 or 500 people in New York, or a few hundred in Hong Kong and London, and doing this kind of matchmaking where there's 300 investors and there's probably 50 or 80 or 100 issuers, and all these different investors have different criteria of investment, from very small scale juniors to production to M&A and whatnot, and even offtake. And so these 50 companies then go and check out these guys' profiles. And now that we can't do these conferences, these large one-on-one conferences in person, or majority, we know there are groups still doing them, being very, very cautious and very safe. But online now, like one-to-one is doing an amazing job. You can probably have 20 meetings in one day with all over the world, and you get a handpick who you want to meet. They have to agree to meet you, of course, but it's it's it, it's the way to go. We also have other groups like you mentioned, Kai Hoffman and his Sora Financial. They're doing more one-on-one. Putting a spotlight on a company and kind of digging deeper, what's going on. Same with if you look at Matt Gordon from Crux Investors, he's doing these one-on-ones, and he literally undresses the CEO on the camera. If there's anything going on, he's gonna ask. Like he's not shy to ask. So there's it's a new normal, but I think it's bringing a lot more transparency. And if you're invested in companies and they're not getting themselves out there and being vulnerable and being transparent and sharing their story, you got to ask, what are they doing?
Well, Rick Rule said, when I chatted with Rick, he said, if a company doesn't get back to me, they've done the work for me. I don't need to go much further. So I think, the importance of connecting with your stakeholders in general has always been, at the forefront of how you manage yourself as a public company. But as you said, even more so now. But it seems like there's more opportunity now as well. Things are happening at a quicker pace. Money, capital is flowing into the mining sector, which I think a lot of us have been waiting for some time. And I think kind of what's going on globally and economically and politically, there's a real opportunity for a mining sector to happen. So we all need to make sure that we're on top of it and out there in front of people. Sean, thank you so much for your insights. It's always such a pleasure to chat with you. We'll be enjoying, I guess, virtually the conferences as they come up this year. And I know that BC has always been a big part of your love affair with mining. Anything else that you want to touch on as far as mining in BC?
No, well, yes, of course. British Columbia, like my roots are here like forever, and there's just a lot of opportunity, a lot of great things are happening. A lot of new areas are opening it up. It's an amazing province, not only beautiful but also very mineral endowed. And so we're open for business, and there's a lot of opportunities. There's some seasonality going on, but as long as the companies that are dealing with seasonality, seasons where you can't work due to weather, as long as they're being proactive, I think actually, sorry, as I clear my throat, I think actually this year is going to be a bit of an anomaly, because usually, for instance, the Golden Triangle, usually the summer season going into the fall is very busy. Usually companies aren't working in past October kind of thing, and results come in November, December. I think results, the results should be coming out by the end of November and throughout the summer. But now, due to the excitement going on in the industry, a lot of money coming in, laboratories being backed up, I think this year is going to be a big anomaly where a lot of results are going to be coming out from now until going into March or April, where previous years, like this year's never really been, like, I've been in this business for 14 years now, and it's never been this busy in one season. So it's going to be exciting, and you still got lots of time. Lastly, I just have to say you guys have done an amazing job with Mining Over Canada. I've enjoyed, being able to go into these different areas and learn and grow and see who's involved, and extracurricular stuff, especially, showing about the First Nations, about the academic, how do we support the industry. You guys have done an amazing job, and kudos to you guys. You guys are the pioneers of this. This is amazing.
Well, thank you, Sean. I really appreciate that. And I'm so glad you got to be a part of this. I think we're going to host you again. I'm putting you on the spot now. We're going to do an aftermarket with you at some point. So then we'll really put you in the hot seat. Thank you again for all of your time. I really appreciate it. And we'll be seeing you virtually at the conferences this upcoming year.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.